Hello everyone and welcome to our first video. My name is Tima and today we're going to be talking about starting therapy. I myself am a therapist under clinical supervision as well as a PhD candidate in conflict analysis and resolution. The purpose of this video, as well as future videos to come, is to create a space where we can discuss mental health, human behavior, as well as so many things that are going on in society, and of course, conflict analysis and resolution. When we get into our topic for today, knowing when to start therapy, there are so many different approaches to take when considering this question, but today we're going to focus on 4 specific topics. Now, before we get into it, I really want to provide a caveat, and the warning being this: therapy is not for everyone. I repeat, therapy is not for everyone. As we know, therapy has come quite a long way. The mental health field as a whole has worked very hard on inclusivity, diversity, and awareness, but there still are some ways to go. And within that, if you may not align with the values of therapists or of therapy as a whole, this is still a space for you. There's no judgment within that perspective. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into it. The 4 topics to consider when asking yourself if therapy is an option would be: am I feeling stuck or stagnant? The second being, am I controlled by the past? Third, am I struggling to regulate and process my emotions, thoughts, and behaviors? And the fourth being, do I have difficulty in beginning and maintaining my friendships, relationships, and partnerships? So let's break each one of these down. When it comes to feeling stuck and stagnant, this could be for a variety of different reasons, and in some cases, as you let time pass, the environment might change, the people might change, and that might be all you need. But in other cases, therapy can really help to address those mental and emotional roadblocks, to have a neutral third party to bounce ideas off of, to gain a different perspective that you may not have been able to in another environment. And that can be incredibly helpful in overcoming that feeling of being stuck, of feeling like you're in a cycle that you can't quite get out of. Then when we go into the second topic, being feeling controlled by the past, so often we go through a lot of different forms of trauma that have us feeling like the decisions that we make currently are hopeless and helpless due to the things that we've gone through. So maybe acting out of emotions that don't align with your values, or constantly having these flashbacks or regrets and resentment of maybe decisions that you've made, people who you've allowed into your life. And within a therapeutic setting, it can be incredibly helpful to work on what looks like acceptance, understanding, and having that safe space to no longer identify with the things that happened to you. Now, this process is difficult, and like I said, it's incredibly vulnerable. But then we get into our third facet, which is struggling to process and regulate our emotions, behavior, and thoughts. We are in a society where even having emotions can be seen as a weakness. So the idea of being able to process and regulate them can be incredibly foreign for specific groups of people, and really for so many of us in total. So within therapy, again, it's all about that safe space that is provided to you, the safe space that you deserve, that will allow you to feel your emotions throughout your body and to work to rewire that connection of mind and body. Because so often, especially in today's times, we're just working on surviving. We're just trying to get through the day. And within that, while that's just a part of the system we live in, There are still practices, realistic practices that can be developed over time that allow you to sit and feel and still remain productive. Now, this can be done in many different forms and several different modalities that we'll get into in different videos in the future, but it is all very possible. And we get into our fourth option of determining whether it is good to start therapy for you. So the last one being difficulty in beginning and maintaining relationships. So this all talks about trust. The idea of feeling trust in oneself as well as being able to trust others around us. So often we are vulnerable, especially within our developmental years. We trust too much, we give too much of ourselves, and again, we form that extreme but valid level of resentment. So again, the therapeutic space can help to relieve that stress, to build boundaries. Yes, I said it, the buzzword of therapy, boundaries, to make sure that you are protecting yourself while also showing people the specific ways and how to respect you. Now that we've covered those very simple topics, it's really important also to consider what it would look like to have someone who is supportive of your goals and your specific expectations. Now, of course, we have friends and family members, and they can be so helpful to our growth and development. But in some cases, because we're all human, there is a chance that they'll kind of put in their own bias or tell you what you should do based off of their own perceptions. And again, there's nothing wrong with that because it's all based in love. But it can be incredibly beneficial to, again, have that neutral third party that is solely focused on what your specific goals are. I want to remind you guys that whatever it is that you desire is exactly what you deserve. Now, if you get to a point where you're asking these questions and it leads you to believe that maybe it is time to start therapy, that brings us into our next video, which is knowing how to find, hire, and possibly fire a therapist. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for taking time to watch and enjoy yourself.